Howdy folks, Troy with Twins to VH back on the 240Z project. Today we are cutting out a piece of rusted material, using it to make a pattern, to make a patch panel to go in this quarter. Once we get that squared away, we will be taking our flare and fitting it to our quarter. So without further ado, let's get at it. So I'm progressing with my patch area here. I cut out that crap and I used the piece that I cut out here. I used this piece as a template to make my new piece. And then there's a body line here and one here. It's kind of a shadow line on the door, and right here on the quarter you can see my line here, and it makes an arc over the wheel opening. Kind of follows this body line here. So what I did was I took and I laid that thing on the bench and I made my own arc in this panel. You really can't see it, but maybe you can. In the shadow like this, you can probably see a little bit of it, but I needed to have that arc in there so it'll fit right. So I got that done. Now I have this, this outer wheelhouse that's really not much to it. I think I'm gonna make an edge to go along here, to fold out to catch this here. So I got a nice edge, but I just gotta work it out in my mind. Okay, so here's our quarter panel after today, which is Monday. And as you can see, I made my patch and have it lapped under, and I got some screws holding it, and I've kind of made this body line that follows the quarter panel line. So, I mean, you might be able to see it, but you can kind of see it, how it bows out, and it's got this body line. That's what these screw holes are here, is as I put my screws in here, I used this and I pulled this out. I used my tool here and I pulled like this so I'd have that bow. So now it looks pretty good. I mean, I know what you're saying. It's kind of ugly looking, but you have to remember that we're gonna put a flare on here anyways. So for the most part, all of this, like this, is gonna be covered. So we're really, we're dealing with what you can see is gonna be this area here, which isn't bad. I got the center of the flare here marked off, so I know where that goes. And yeah, now the next thing I gotta do is I gotta work on this inside here where, I have this edge and then all this over here. But I'm gonna do that probably in conjunction with the flare. I'll have to see. But that's Monday. Howdy folks. It is Tuesday morning, back on the 240Z project. So I've got my panel fitted on here. I got it lapped underneath. I got all these screws holding it where I want it to be. I figured out where my center line is for my flare. And what I think I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna start by rolling this thing over and working on this inner wheelhouse and seeing if I can get that repaired, and then I can get ready to put my flare on. So that is going to be what I got going on next. I just love how I can work on the car upside down. So this is my wheelhouse situation. I made a patch going all the way in here, and I patched this all the way along here like this, along with that. Now I bent my patch so it's like this, and then I'll be able to tie it into my outer quarter once I get my wheelhouse fitted. So I think that's going to be the next thing. I'm going to roll this over, and I'm going to see if we can figure out where that wheelhouse is going to lie. So here's my quarter from the outside. You can see how I made this wheel opening, and I got a nice flat area here, and this is going to be used to reinforce this so it's right. Now this line right here is my center point. Forgive me because I have to hold the camera and do this. And then it comes down over here, and I don't really like it. What I'm gonna do, I think, is cut this here and over here and roll this flat here and there, so it'll lay against this and lay against this. That way there, if you look at these flares on cars, what ends up happening is the flare's here, and it's like the outside edge of it is over here. You can see half see the wheel opening, half not see it. The same with the back. I don't really like that, and I don't want it to look like that. I want it to be like flush and going all the way around, and then I am going to lay a piece of metal inside to seal this off, so it's like a real wheelhouse and a real quarter panel. So that's what I'm working on now. So this is what I got now. I got a really nice inside here that I made all the way around. I got a nice lip. I'm all welded up tight, and what this does is it makes this wheelhouse nice and solid. So now what I'm gonna wanna do is I'm gonna weld this part here, and then wheel flare is gonna go on here, kind of something, you know, to this effect here. So here we are, end of the day Tuesday. I got my wheelhouse all welded up on the inside, and I got this flare fitted to where I think I really kind of like it. Like you can see what I have on the inside, because I got to maintain this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece and come right off of this and go right up around here like this when I'm done, so that this has a finished off in a wheelhouse. Because see what you see up in there now? Who the hell wants to look at that? Sure as heck not me. But I've got to weld all this stuff here. But I'm thinking I'm going to want to put some pressure, outward pressure here, so that my flare fits really nice, because I like the way that it fits here. And back over in here isn't too friggin' bad. But see how I'm a little bit away up in this area? Yeah, I can push it in, but I think I'd rather pull my fabricated panel out and give it kind of a more, you know, wide body look, so to speak. So that's gonna be like tomorrow's deal. Howdy folks, Troy with Retooling the V8s, back on the 240Z project. It is Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, but it'll be a belated Thanksgiving because this won't post until next week. Also want to wish our good friend Jay Leno a rapid recovery from his burns. You'll see some of my posts online. My wife and I met Jay on many occasions with our friends over at the Audrain Museum. And if you're not familiar with the Audrain, then you should check them out as well. Good group of people, supercar guys, all types of cars, old and new. But anyway, without further ado, I want to get back to what we got going on here. When I left it yesterday, I had jigged this flare up here, and I kind of like it. I'm going to kind of mess around with the way it mounts in a couple of places, and then I'm going to work this line right here out, and hopefully get this thing kind of welded up. That's my goal for today, so let's have at it. Okay, so this is the situation I got going on. I got a nice curvature here, but when my flare lines up, it's like this panel is in a little bit. So I'm gonna pull this out. I also wanna mess around with the way that this fits here and the way that it fits over here on the bottom of this quarter. And I'm gonna mess around with this area over in here. And once I get all of that fitting the way I want to, then we can start thinking about doing a little bit of welding. So I got my lap patch all ground. I had to tack on the inside a little bit, so that's what these are. These are some pull pins that I use to pull that area of the quarter out. I like what I have going on here. This is not a big deal. It's actually, I can feel a little, kind of a little bump right here where I welded up the holes that were in this. All the way across here, I mean, this is really good. I do have a nice line along here, and then, of course, right in this area. So I think I'm gonna chase, what I think I'm gonna do is tack this in a few spots to hold it on here, and then I think I'm gonna work this area here out a little bit, just so I have what I want, you know? And then I gotta work this area here out and this here. But I mean, overall, we're getting there. All right, so this is gonna be it for me for today. And what I ended up doing was throwing some tacks on this to get this where I wanted it to be. I like the way it fits. As I put a couple of tacks, just from welding it, it just sucked itself right into this quarter perfectly. I really didn't have to worry about it too much. So, I mean, I kind of like the way that this looks. You know, I mean, I'll have to, you know, pick this and file it out a little bit to get what I want it to be. And then I got this area down here I got to deal with a little bit. And then this here, along with dovetailing this around and getting this to fit nicely over here. And then, of course, you know, doing my inside piece up in here like I want to come right down to there. So I'll have a piece that basically kind of finishes that off. But that will be, I don't know, maybe Friday. We'll see if we're gonna work Friday, I don't know. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, or should I say, I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. And good luck on your project. Howdy folks, Troy with V-Twins the V8's back on the 240Z project. I do have some situations I want to deal with, like I want to get this over here tucked in and welded and fitting right. The same with this area right in here. Also this area here, and this bottom area needs to be kind of reformed so it fits on here nice and tight. So once I get that done, then I am going to work on tying my quarter panel edge into my flare here like this. And then we'll have a nice solid wheel opening. It's pretty good now, but I just got it barely tacked on there. You can see where I welded up, you know, the holes that they make in these flares from the factory. They look like this. They kind of punch them and then dimple them. All I did was hammer and dolly them flat, and then welded the holes up so that they're gone. My plan is to have kind of not like a molded quarter panel, but like a very defined edge line right here. So it looks almost like a factory body line rather than a molded in piece. So that's what my goal is at the end result. So we're gonna get to work on getting this flare in shape and getting it tied into the inner quarter. So I'm gonna have at it. Okay, so as you can see, I cut a relief in here. I cut one down here, so I'm kind of like butted here. I got it tacked. I got it tucked into my little corner piece over here. This is gonna blend right into this once I get it welded. And then over here in the back, I just kind of walk this right around the contour of the body line. I had cut some relief right in this area here so that I could turn this, and I got it tacked. Now what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place some tacks around in between all of these. Then I think what I'll do is I'll start working on that inside piece that's gonna go up inside of here and get that fabricated and tied into the flare. I don't wanna weld my flare solid all at once because it's pretty thin material. It will warp the crap out of it. So I gotta be kind of ginger with my welding. Okay, so I have my car rolled over. This gives you a different perspective of how I tied in the bottoms of these flares to the quarter. And then the inside area here. Now I'm all tacked all the way around my flare, so my flare is staying where it needs to be. What I want to do is make a piece that lays right on here and follows this all the way around. That will seal this area from my flare, so I won't be picking up a bunch of crap there. So what I'm gonna do more than likely is use a piece of cardboard or something of that nature to make a pattern that I can then cut a piece of sheet metal and then get that welded in there. So that'll be up next. Okay, so we're back. I'm upside down and I got all of my wheel opening tied in, and I made this whole inside edge and welded it to the wheel flare, and I'm looking pretty minty. And as you can see, I mean, my flare is nice and solid now. It's not that flimsy ass crap that we started off with. So I'm gonna flip it over, finish tacking up the outside of the flare, and Jesus, this cord is gonna be looking pretty well done. Oh, so here we are on the 240Z project. I got my fender flare all on here pretty nice. I got the inside of it all tied in pretty darn good, you know, so I mean, it's all nice and solid. We'll blend it in. I'm gonna crank it down a little bit so that we can get kind of a better look at it. So here we go. I kind of picked and filed this a little bit to get it smooth. Got a little bit more work to do before I start thinking about doing much else as far as like Marglass or anything like that goes. I had to put a tack weld, a couple of them inside this fuel door because it was basically coming unglued. But it's not too bad. I had a little bit of filler, some pretty good sized dents in this door I had to kind of dig out. I got some stuff over here in this fender I want to work out, a hole here, a few dents. And then we're gonna put the extension on down here and put this fender flare on and see if I can like kind of get this side of the car, you know, shaped up with the flares and stuff. Kind of like this look down the side of it. I think it's gonna have a really cool look to it. I filed this off. This top line is pretty good. Gets a little funky down in here, but that's okay. We'll smooth that right off and blend that right into this wheel opening. That's all for this week. Thanks for tuning in and good luck on your project.